Hello and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Saturday, June 23rd, 2018, and this is episode 65. My name is Carol and I'm known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry. The show notes for this and every episode can be found on the blog and also in the episode thread in the Ravelry group. If you'd like to get in touch, you could do so via private message on Ravelry, by leaving a comment on YouTube, or by posting in the Ravelry group. And I'll do my best to reply within a day or two. Sometimes I get a little sidetracked. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today on this rather overcast afternoon here in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. I have to say the cloudy weather is actually quite a relief from the much hotter, sunnier weather we had last weekend and earlier this week, where we had temperatures in the high 20s and low 30s. That translates to kind of high 80s, low 90s in Fahrenheit. One day in particular was very humid, really uncomfortable. I felt sticky and icky all day despite the fans that were going all over the place. So I don't mind this at all, although I kind of miss the sun. I wouldn't mind a little more sunshine. I'm kind of a low to mid 20s kind of girl. I do like the sun, but I don't like to sit out in it too much, and I like it when there's a nice breeze blowing that kind of counteracts the heat. So I do enjoy summer, just not the really hot weather. So because it's been so warm, I've been working just on small projects this week, and I realized actually as I was getting ready to record that everything I've been working on has to do with the feet, hence the episode name this week. So let's jump right into it. I do have a finished project to show you. These are the Athos socks by Kiowa Coffee, and I knit them for my brother-in-law Ed. The yarns I've used are the Ancient Arts Fingering Sock Weight from their Meow collection, and this colorway is Orange Tabby. And then, as I feared, I didn't have enough of that yarn to knit the toes, and so I did those in Maine Coon Cali. And I had previously knit a pair of socks for my sister out of that yarn, I think it was last fall. So I'll bring this a little closer, give you a really good look. It's got a really nice textured stitch design. And yeah, I don't think it looks too bad with the contrasting toe. Hopefully Ed will like them. So my Ed and my sister Jacqueline have 3 cats, and Sloopy is a Maine Coon, and he kind of gravitates towards my sister, and Misha's an Orange Tabby, and she kind of gravitates towards my brother-in-law, which is why I chose this colorway for his socks. And they have a 3rd cat who's also a Maine Coon called Santine, so I figured that in this pair of socks, all 3 of their cats are represented for Ed. So I've knit quite a number of socks for him before. He's very knit-worthy, and hopefully he will like these. I'm doing some knitting for him in exchange for some graphic design work that he's going to do for me in connection with the podcast. And if I ever get my act together, my future Etsy store where I will plan to sell project bags, but that I don't know when that's going to happen. I can't really, despite good intentions, I haven't done a lot of work towards getting that going. There always seems to be something else to do. So what I've also knit for him by request are a new pair of felted clogs. The pattern is Felted Clogs by Bev Gillespie, and these are unfelted clogs at the moment. These giant clown feet. If you've watched for a while, you'll there's a little bit of fabric or a thread on there. I've been sewing a little bit this week. If you've watched before, or perhaps you're familiar with it, these slippers will start out really large, and then when you deliberately wash them in the washing machine, they shrink and become felted fabric. So I was hoping, I worked really hard to get these done by Thursday, because I knew that my son, who lives with us right now, he has the same size feet as Ed, and so my plan, I knew he was going to go camping this weekend, so I thought we'll get them done by Thursday so that I can felt them Thursday night while he's home, and then they can dry over the course of the week. And because my sister Jacqueline's coming out next weekend, and I want to send these knitted items home with her, save on the shipping. Anyway, so my son did go camping this week, but he took Friday off and left on Thursday evening. How inconsiderate of him. So I have to wait till he comes back tomorrow night to felt these, because I want him to try them on as we go. Anyway, so I was really pleased because I knit these entirely out of leftovers that I had. So it's kind of what I consider a Heinz 57 of yarns, but I think they all work. So the main color is this, it's all Cascade 220, and I'm not going to do colorway numbers or anything. This is, I don't even know if they do the paints anymore, but this was a yarn I've had for ages and ages and ages. So it has all, as you can see, it has all these shades of brown. And so I did the inner sole in this shade of brown. It's kind of a heather. And then I combined two very similar shades. One was a solid, one was a heather. You hold the yarns double. So I combined those two skeins for the trim on the top. And then I used a much darker solid brown for the outer sole. So altogether, I think they look just fine. And I'm anxious to see how this variegated yarn looks when it's felted, because I've never actually felted with a variegated yarn before. I've done with a tweed yarn, and I've also done with a like a marled, or is there another word for that? When the two plies are like, you have two colors that are twisted together. I know they call it a marl. I feel like there's another word for that also, but so I've done that and with great success. But yeah, I'm really anxious to see how this variegated yarn knits up, because that it definitely makes it more interesting to work with different yarns. As I've mentioned before, I don't particularly enjoy knitting these felted clogs. But I like wearing them myself and have knit myself many pairs. And over the years, they've become very popular as gifts for mainly the men, but some women in my family. And so because I love them, I do go ahead and knit them, but they're not my favorite project, that's for sure. This is one of the few projects I knit not for pleasure, but for the product, not for the process, but for the product. So anyway, yeah, I probably, well, I will be sure to take a picture of these once they're felted up, because I don't think they're going to be around the next time I podcast. Okay, so I can't remember why I picked these up in particular, but I did a fair bit of work just on my latest pair of plain stockinette socks. So you can see I have finished the heel on both pairs, and I've just begun the gusset stitches. So this yarn is Regia, I think it's Colorito color, you can see that there. And this is 4458 which is gentian. And so I'm just calling these gentian socks. They've been fun to knit because the colors change frequently and have been definitely keeping my interest. And yeah, not much to say about them. It's a 64 stitch 2x2 rib cuff plain vanilla sock with a slip stitch heel flap and a gusset construction, so nothing out of the ordinary. But yeah, I like how they're knitting up. I had bought this yarn with a gift certificate from my son, so I am going to keep these socks for myself as a gift from him. Oops, I just lost the stitch marker off one of the needles. What I do when I knit a heel flap and gusset sock is I keep one of these little stitch markers hanging on the needle, and I just alternate between putting row 1 and row 2 until the gusset's finished. I can see if it's actually a decrease round or not, because you decrease every second round till you get back to the number of stitches for your foot. But it's just a really easy way for me to, at the beginning of the row, take a look and say, okay, this is row 1, it's a decrease row, or this is row 2, it's just a plain row. So I find they come in handy for that. And I use them, I do the same thing when I do the toes too. And I just find that's just a really easy way of keeping track. Because for me, stockinette socks are supposed to be about not having to pay too much attention. And so that's just another way of making that the more effortless, I guess. And then the fourth pair of socks I've been working on is the third pair from the Handmade Sock Society, and the third pattern's called I don't know how to say this, Astrantia Socks. It's by Helen Stewart. Did I say that already? I am knitting them out of Dreamin' Color Smooshie in the Punky Fuchsia colorway. And just at the last, I think it was yesterday or day before, I finished sock number 1. These little markers are just for my benefit. When I do the second sock, I'll be able to count the rows between them, and that's how long I'll make my second foot also. So you can see it has this really nice little bauble detail on the ribbing, and then the baubles are also incorporated into these little flower motifs. And then once you're finished the flowers, it's just smooth sailing. They have a short row heel and just a wedge toe. And I actually subbed in my own numbers for the wedge toe because I have a formula that I like for my socks, which is say if it's a 64 stitch sock, I decrease every second row until I have 32 stitches, and then I decrease every row until I have 16 stitches, 8 on the sole and 8 on the instep, and then I graft them together. I know everyone has their own formula that works for them, but that works for the shape of my foot. So I have done short row heels numerous times, but my go-to is a yarn over short row heel. And this one is a German short row heel. Now I love German short rows. I've done them in a number of garments, and I think they're the nicest short row method that I have come across. They're simple and they're easy. They're simple to do the setup for the short row, and then they're very simple when it comes to, you don't have to pick up wraps. You just knit this double stitch as a regular stitch, and they're not entirely invisible. They are the most sort of discreet short row method it's the most discreet short row method I've come across. So I was really looking forward to doing the German short row heel because I wasn't sure how to incorporate that method into a heel. And I really liked it. I found it very simple to understand. The only part that I was not thrilled with is that once you do the heel, you need to pick up stitches, or not pick up, well, you have to create stitches. You have to fill the gap on either side of the heel in a way that you would do similar to working a heel flap and gusset sock, where you pick up an extra stitch or two in the gap between the heel flap and the instep, and then you close it up on subsequent rounds. And while the method itself is not difficult, I didn't do as good a job with where I placed my extra stitches, and so I do have, I'm not sure how well you can see, I feel like I have bigger holes in the corner than I would like. Now, they may close up a little bit, and you can see them more when I put the sock actually on my foot. They may close up a little bit when I wash the sock. The yarn might bloom a little and fill that gap in. If I'm still not satisfied once I've washed them, then what I might do is just take a little length of yarn and weave it in the back, kind of close up the holes. But I'm also on the second sock going to pay particular attention to that and determine where I could best place those little picked up stitches and see if I can't improve on it, because I do like the method, and I do think the decreases or the short rows look really nice and tidy. So if that's the only downside, I think I can find, a workaround for it. So I finished, as you see, sock number 1, and then I've just finished the patterning on sock number 2. I think this is where sock number 1 was the last time you saw these. And what you can't really tell because of the way I have them on the sock blockers, on the right sock, this stitch pattern goes down the right side of the right front of the leg, and this will be going down the left side of the left leg. Does that make sense? So once I have the heels in and I flip them around to sit properly on the sock blockers, it'll look more like this, I guess. It's hard to twist them with the needles in, but anyway, this will sit, like I say, down the left side of the left sock, left front. Anyway, I think they're really nice. I love this yarn. It's really, it's pretty. I like seeing the different colors come up. I don't know how well the various tones are showing off on camera there. Perhaps they show off better in the knitting itself. So it's interesting to work on. I like the way the yarn feels. My only concern, it has nothing to do with the pattern or the yarn, it has to do with my gauge. I started this sock off, for some reason, it's quite loose. And as I was knitting, I tightened up my gauge. So this second sock is a fair bit tighter than my original one. I don't know if you can see that. You see all that extra fabric? And this, there isn't. It's quite snug to the sock blocker. I'm going to have to decide how much that bugs me. If I really find I can't live with it, I'll take the sock apart and redo it, because by then I think my gauge will be pretty uniform. I'm hoping it doesn't bug me that much because I don't really want to reknit it, but there is a fair bit of difference when they're off the sock blockers, and if you hold them up to each other, you can see. Just see here. Maybe being on the sock blockers is not as noticeable, but there is definitely more fabric here. Although I have to say now that this has been stretched out a bit, it's not quite as noticeable. I don't know if it shows that way more, maybe. See, the top one is definitely wider. Anyway, we'll see. Like I said, I really don't want to have to re-knit the whole sock, and I probably won't. I'll probably live with it. It's not so loose that I can't wear it, but I do prefer the snugger sock, and I do prefer the snugger knitting that's in the foot of the first one. So we'll see. That's it for knitting this week. I did a little bit of sewing. That was just working on some project bags, nothing exciting, just some bags I've had cut out for quite a long time. I'd like to clear all that fabric out before I start on any new ones. So I can kind of start from fresh. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off the camera because there's something else I want to talk about that I forgot to put in the show notes. Right back. This past week, we received some information about the second shawl in the Shawl Society 3 collection by Helen Stewart. She doesn't usually reveal the shape of the shawl before the pattern's released, but in this case, she did say it was a big wrap, which her sample took 4 skeins of yarn, 3 of a tonal and 1 of a variegated or hand painted or multicolored, however you want to put it. Now, my initial reaction, I have to say, was kind of disappointed. I don't, as a rule, make really large shawls. I've resisted knitting those. They're beautiful, but I've resisted knitting like the what was it called? The fade, the one, the big original fade with, I think there were like 7 colors in it, and there's been a number of them in the last year or so, very large, 3, 4, 5 skein shawls. I would never wear something that large out. I wouldn't wear it with my coat as a scarf. It would be too big. I don't wear wraps as a rule with what I wear. The only time I would use something like that is at home to wrap up in. And actually, one of my sisters gave me a commercially knit kind of wrap / scarf for Christmas this year. It was color blocked, 3 shades of beige, and it was a long rectangle and probably about this wide. And I actually found myself using it a ton this past winter. It was perfect to wrap up in well, any time really that I needed an extra layers. So, first thing in the morning or in the evening, or even sometimes during the day if it was quite chilly. So I thought I could see myself using a large wrap in that way. So then next sort of dilemma, I guess, was that I don't tend to have large quantities of one color fingering weight yarn in my stash unless I've bought it for sweaters. So I have several lots of 3 skeins of one color that I had earmarked for sweaters. So I went stash diving because I really, really don't want to have to buy new yarn for this. So I did go stash diving. I came up with several combinations. So one possibility, I have 3 skeins of this yarn from, it's Tosh Merino Light in the Dahlia colorway. it's bright. It's showing up on my screen brighter than it is in real life, but it's that same kind of color family. It's a purple, looks more red here. But what I'm learning is that what I see on my camera and then what shows up on the computer screen after I've uploaded the video is often actually quite true to color. So anyway, I've got this. So I had a couple possibilities. I have this skein from Fleece Artists National Parks Collection. I think this is the Quebec one. Did I write it down? Fourillon, Quebec. So it has, I don't know if we can, has red and the same kind of purple, some bit of teal, and then some green there, and then this overall gray. So I thought that this might work. I'm going to take the label off. I think you'll see the range of colors better that way. So I thought that would be a possible match. And I also, not that long ago, had ordered this skein. It's also Tosh Merino Light in the Outlander colorway, and it's a kind of a speckled yarn. And I thought that also went quite well with it. So these are two potential matches for this yarn. And then I have another sweater lot of this sweet fiber yarn in the colorway number Driftwood. They're actually there are 3 skeins, same lot, but you can see they vary in tone. I bought these with a sweater in mind, and I remember at the time the person who was helping me at the store said maybe rather than alternating skeins, I could knit them as a fade sort of, and have this very subtle faded sweater from the top down. In any case, again, I went stash diving. Oh, there's my phone. I forgot to tell my husband I'm recording. I'll be right back. As I suspected, that was my husband. He's actually heading home from work, so I'll try and wrap this up pretty quickly because we want to go out and to a store and look at something. Anyway, so this is would be the main color. So one of and it's a cashmere nylon merino. Oh no, it's not. I was thinking this had cashmere in it. It doesn't. It's just 80% merino, 20% nylon. But anyway, it's quite soft. So I have this skein that I bought last summer down in the States. That has a lot of these. See, it's got like similar tones there. And this does have cashmere in it, but they feel very similar. The weight seems very, very close. They would be a good match as far as weight goes. So that's one possibility. And then I also have this Dream in Color. Oh, I guess I should tell you what this is. This is Magpie Swanky Sock in the Hell's Bells colorway. And then I also have the skein of, this is Dream in Color Smooshy with Cashmere in the Slippery Trail colorway. And that also blends really well. And I kind of like the blue. The theme, of course, for the collection is the Secret Garden, and I sort of wonder if this doesn't bring to mind, the sea, because the story's set at an estate that's close to the sea and the moors in Yorkshire. Anyway, I will, okay, I want to say it was the sea. It is, right? But anyway, I know they talk about the blue sky sometimes. Anyway, I thought this might work too. But I don't know what the shawl is called, and I don't know where Helen's inspiration came from for it. So this, I think, is what I'm leaning towards. But I don't know. I won't know until I see the pattern. So speaking of The Secret Garden, I've continued to read that this week. I think I'm over 85% now. It's on my Kindle, so of course it indicates how far you are. So I think I'm around 85 or so percent through. So I'm hoping to finish that up this week, and I am continuing to enjoy it. It's been a good read. So my week, last weekend we had my husband's team had their mid-season ball tournament, so they had 3 games to play on Saturday and then one for sure Sunday morning, and depending on whether you won or lost that game, you either were done or moved forward. They did win one game Saturday. Unfortunately or fortunately, they lost their Sunday morning game, which meant they were done. Considering how hot it was, and considering that a lot of people wanted, had other things they wanted to do with their Sunday, I don't think anyone was too brokenhearted that they did not move on. So, including us. We had it was a fun tournament, and we went, one couple on the team had offered up their place for Saturday night for a barbecue, and so a number of us went there. We always do it. We just bring whatever you want to cook on the barbecue and some kind of side or appetizer or something to share, and that seems to work out really well, and it's not too much work for anybody. So yes, that was a nice little get together. And then Sunday after we got home, we got our grocery shopping done for the week, and then we also the electrician who's doing the work on our deck had said he would come by Sunday afternoon to do that, and so we got back from grocery shopping and he was here. He didn't need us to be home, by the way. He had said that. So we knew that didn't matter whether we were at the ball tournament or anything. He would just come by and do his work. So he did get all the wiring in place, outlets, and we have a light and ceiling fan for the covered part of the deck. That'll all be actually hooked up after more of the work is finished, but all the wiring itself is in place, which meant that our friend who's building our deck was able to start putting deck boards on the surface this week. Yay! So I put a few little photos in here. As you can see, we chose a herringbone pattern for the boards, and it's just I think looking great. It's so neat to be able to stand on part of the deck now, and we can start to envision what it will look like when it's finished. Our plans are to stain it kind of a slate or charcoal gray, and then you can see that there's light gray trim around the outside of it. And I think one of the photos you can see that we've had little round deck lights installed where the stairs are going to be, so that people can find their way easily at night. Don't want anyone falling off and breaking their neck or anything. So that's coming along. Not quite sure how long it will take to finish getting all of the deck surface done, and then our posts need to be boxed in, and then we have to put something on the ceiling underneath at the covered part of the deck, and then the electrician can come in, do his bit, and then that'll be done. We are adding a couple of trellises at either end, and there will eventually be stairs off several places, but we will get our actual yard work done and have a area prepared for paving, pavers. And then we'll wait till all that's done before we build the actual stairs that will go down. So anyway, it's coming along. It's very exciting. Can't wait to be able to actually use it for real. So on last Sunday, of course, was Father's Day, and our two boys have sort of a tradition they've had for the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, that they bring pizza and beer over, and my husband and them go and watch movies down in the family room, and I kind of have a nice quiet Sunday evening. So they did that again, so that was good. And after they finished watching their movie, they came upstairs and ended up out on the back deck, and my husband called me to come look, and an owl had flown into a tree like 2 yards over and sat there for a little while. So I took a few pictures. I was able to get one decent one, and so I'll put that here. It didn't sit for very long before it flew away again. So it was just really cool to have that chance to see it. I have seen an owl here before. Well, I would say within the last 10 years. I can't remember exactly how long ago it was. I was out in the afternoon talking to our neighbor, and a great horned owl flew in between his house and the next house over from him, and had roosted in a stand of trees that used to stand behind her house. And it was there for a long time. I had to go out for the evening, and so I don't know how long it stayed before it flew away, but it was there for a couple of hours anyway. So it was, because of how it was tucked in the shadows. I could see it with my binoculars. It was not something I was able to take a picture of. It wouldn't have shown up. But yeah, it was very cool to have an owl sit there that long and in daylight besides. So so that was really cool. I had planned to record this morning, but I had to run an errand, and then I also got a text message from one of the stores where I like to buy clothes, saying they had dresses on sale. So I thought I would go check out dresses. And I like to wear a dress in the summer on hot days. I just find it really comfortable and cooler than, sometimes it's cooler than a pair of shorts and a top. Anyway, I thought I'd go check out and see what they had. As it was, that store did not have anything dress-wise. But I did find a couple of t-shirts. Oh, including this one. It's just a t-shirt, but this kind of makes it look fancy. And then I went further down the mall to another store that I sometimes buy clothes at, and found some more tops. I did buy a dress I'm not 100% sold on, so we'll see if I keep it or not. My mind is saying if you're not sure, you probably won't wear it. That's my experience anyway. Anyway, then on the way home, I stopped at another store, and there I actually really lucked out. I found two dresses, the same style, just different colors, that are just like a tank top style, and then kind of an A-line shape to it. So that's perfect, just made out of like t-shirt fabric. So yeah, those will be perfect for hot summer days. The problem with, I love wearing the dresses, but I find a lot of them are just fancier than I want. I don't want to dress up, I just want to dress. But yeah, I found a couple more tops there, so that's great. I'm set now for summer. But is it just me, or I just find so many of the styles right now are really, really unflattering. It seems like all the tops, or so many of the tops are, and dresses are loose with no shape to them, and they just, to me, they're so unflattering for pretty well every figure. I've had a hard time finding things that I think look nice. I don't mind. I don't mind some looseness and let some air flow, but they just seem. So many of them just seem just so baggy and unflattering. I'm not a shopper at the best of times. I do not enjoy shopping unless it's yarn shopping. Honestly, yeah, yarn shopping I enjoy quite a bit. Clothing shopping I do not. I never go shopping for fun. And so when I get there and then have such a hard time finding things that even fit or look nice, that's probably why I'm not a shopper. Anyway, so I got a few things for summer, and that was good. So Knit City is coming up at the end of September. It runs from September 28th to October 1st. It's at the Peony Grounds in Vancouver, British Columbia. So every year I have had to miss it for one reason or another. They've had it on various weekends, and I've either, every year I've been away for one reason or another. And actually my sister phoned this past week to see if we wanted to join her and some other friends for a wine festival that weekend. We've gone before, and it was like, nope, this year I'm going to Knit City. And so I didn't even realize one of our viewers, I won't say her name in case she doesn't want me to, we were chatting, and she said that she had bought her ticket for Knit City, which made me go to the website and realize, oh yeah, I guess I have to buy a ticket, because I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking I would just show up and get in. And classes are on sale too. They went on sale, I think, June 15th. So a lot of them are already booked up. They have classes on each day, or workshops, I think they call them, but the 28th, 29th, 30th, and October 1st. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But they just have the marketplace on the Saturday and Sunday. And that's what I intend to go for. Lots and lots of vendors, lots I've never heard of, some that I definitely have, and look forward to checking out their products. So yeah, if you're interested, now's the time to get online and check out if there's any classes that you're interested in that are available. It's knitsocial.ca is the website. And maybe I'll open up a thread in the group. If anyone's going, I would love to meet you, and maybe we would even plan a little meet up or do a little shopping together or something. So by all means, if you're going to be there, let's let each other know, and I think it would be a really cool thing to meet in person. So let me know if you're interested in doing that. I think that will be it for this week. I actually saw my husband drove in the driveway, and then he pulled out again, so I have no idea where he's gone off to, but he should be back anytime, I think. Next week is, next Sunday is Canada Day here in Canada. No kidding. We will be going up to our cabin for the long weekend. We'll have Monday off too. We're actually, my sister's flying out from Toronto Friday, and then we're heading up to the cabin Friday afternoon and coming back Monday, and I think she goes home Tuesday. So I will not be recording next week. So I hope I have lots of things to show you. I'll definitely have some car knitting times, so if nothing else, I should have some socks to show you next week. I think I can manage to finish at least one pair between now and 2 weeks from now. And then hopefully the deck is quite a bit further along by then too. So take care. Have a great couple of weeks ahead of you. I guess the 4th of July for our neighbors to the south is coming up. So happy 4th of July to all of you. Have a great time celebrating. And happy Canada Day to all my Canadian friends. And other than that, happy knitting and have a great couple of weeks. And I will see you then. Bye for now.